He has apologised and we move on. Those are the words from Erik ten Hag after Alejandro Garnacho earlier this week liked a social media post which criticised the United manager for substituting him at half-time in their 2-2 draw with Bournemouth. Ten Hag has been speaking ahead of his side's FA Cup semi-final against Coventry City at Wembley on Sunday. Let's cross live to Manchester now and join our reporter Peter Stevenson. Peter, very good afternoon to you. Another social media issue for Erik ten Hag to deal with. We have been here before, admittedly not with this player, but what has Erik ten Hag had to say about Alejandro Garnacho today?
Yeah, good afternoon, David. It just seemed to be one of the big tasks facing modern-day managers, isn't it? How to manage your high-profile Premier League footballers in this social media age. It's always going to be there. It's constantly going to be there, and it's very difficult, isn't it? As you say, Garnacho brought off at half-time. That decision by his manager very quickly criticised on social media, and then Garnacho appearing on social media to like that very quickly it was removed. Was that like? But in many ways that little bit of damage was done to a relationship maybe with his manager. So today, one of the first questions in the news conference, bearing in mind what's happened in the past to people like Jadon Sancho, who we'll talk about in a second, but how first of all has Ten Hag managed that Garnacho situation?
It kind of suggests that the solidarity in the dressing room is not what it could be.
Oh, I won't point to that, but it's so. Alejandro is a young player, has to learn a lot, and he apologized for it, and after that we move on.
Apologise and we move on, which wasn't the case, of course, with Jadon Sancho a few months ago. That situation, of course, has been discussed today, bearing in mind what's happened to Sancho and Dortmund this week, reaching the semi-finals of the Champions League, of course. So the obvious question, does Jadon Sancho's ever-improving season, does that change the dynamic between himself and his manager?
Of course, I follow international football, and we always follow the players who are on loan in other clubs. So we was a fantastic game. Dortmund against Atletico Madrid, and great performance from Dortmund. So, and also for Jadon is that good news, right? Because he made his contribution to this result for Dortmund.
But I mean, in terms of him and Manchester United, has anything changed in terms of the way he's played for Dortmund at all?
No, but we know Jadon Sancho is a fantastic football player, and that is not a surprise for us. That is not the issue.
And Peter, Erik ten Hag's side, of course, face Coventry City in the last 4 of the FA Cup, back at Wembley, and of course, when they were there for the FA Cup final last season, they lost to Manchester City. But given that this is perhaps the clearer path back to that showpiece game, could Erik ten Hag's side potentially go one better this time around?
Well, David, you know, it's just getting really difficult to decide how Manchester United's season is going to finish. If you look at the Premier League table, they're 10 points behind 5th, and they're going to be involved, I would think, in what looks like a right old scramble for those Europa League places down in 6th and 7th. I mean, at the moment, you have to say, are they going to finish in the top 8? It's looking really difficult. So, yeah, the FA Cup at the moment looking like maybe their best route to silverware and to Europe. But, of course, they're up against this Coventry side. The Mark Robins connection is there and was discussed today. But let's be clear. Coventry are 8th in the Championship. So what challenge now? We wondered, does this represent for Manchester United and their manager?
We were in the final last season. Last season was last season, and we want to achieve every season. We want to win trophies, and we have here a big opportunity because we are in semi-final. But yeah. It's a huge challenge, and we know all the problems. And always, when you have so many problems, you have to find solutions. So also for Sunday, we will find solutions, and we want to go into the final.
Erik, league position-wise, not sure where it's going to end up in mid-May. Maybe 6th, maybe 7th, not sure. Would winning the FA Cup, as far as you're concerned, would that salvage what's been a disappointing season?
You have to always see the circumstances who you have to face. But I'm not thinking in this moment about this. I'm thinking about Sunday. I'm thinking about how do we go to beat Coventry City. And it's all about this. And for the rest is for later. And of course we are planning for next season. But for now, in this moment in the season, it's all about Sunday.
Three little bits of team news for you before I go. Maguire's not trained all week, but should be okay. Anthony and McTominay should also be back. So 3 little bits of good news at last for what's been an injury-riddled season for Manchester United.
Thank you, Peter.